chemistry class. My name is Unibe Augusti. Today we'll be looking at what? Writing ionic equations. Now, when we have to write ionic equations, now first and foremost, we know what are ions. Ions are what charged what atoms of elements. Now we're going to look at what this type of what ions, and there are what example before we're going to take what a typical example on how to write the ionic form of an what equation. Now, looking at ions, what are ions? Okay, ions are what charged atoms. When we're talking about atoms, they are what the various type of element that we have. Okay, now we have different type of what ions. Now, example of an ion is what sodium. Na+, that is what ionic state of what sodium. Cl- is the what the ionic state of what chlorine. Now, what are the type of ions? Number one type of ion is what cations. When they are what positively charged, they are known as what cations. Now, anions are what when they are what negatively what charged. Example of that is what your chlorine and what oxygen what ion. So when I write O like this is what oxygen. But when I go ahead and write O2 what minus, this is what oxygen what ion. So now I want to also what bring in radicals, because compounds are either made up of what elements combining with elements or what elements combining with what radicals. Now let's look at what the types of what radicals that we have. Okay, now these are radicals. Radicals are what grouped atoms. Okay, they are grouped atoms carrying what charges. Group atom carries charges. Example are what OH what minus. That is called the hydroxide ions. Now if you also look at here, this is what NO3 what minus. This is what triazo nitrate 5 what ions. Then we also have here what SO4 2 what 2 minus. This is what tetraazosulfate what ions. This group of ions are known as what radicals. These ones they combine with what elements to form what is known as what compound. Example of that is what H2SO4. Okay, this is what tetraazosulfate what acid formed from where? Combination of what hydrogen and what SO4 what 2 minus. So we are now going to take what example on how to write ionic what equations. Talking about writing an ionic equation. Okay, now there are rules, some basic rules that you must always have at the back of your mind. Okay, that will guide you on how to write what an ionic what equation. Number one of that is what do not break up gases, insoluble substances, and weakly ionized substances like water, weak acids or bases, ions, but represent them as what? Molecules. So you don't represent bases as ions. You don't represent what? Weak acid as ions. You don't represent what? Water as what? Ions. You represent them what? In their what? In their molecular what form. Like hydrogen too. When you want to write any gas, whether hydrogen gas or oxygen gas, you must represent them in their what? In their molecular what form. Like hydrogen, if you want to what? Represent hydrogen, you will just write what? H2. Okay, this is what hydrogen what? Molecule. So you don't have to write it in the ionic what form. Number two is what? Cancel out of the equation any ions, okay, which are exactly the same on both sides. So any ions that are having the same thing on both sides of the equation should be what? Cancelled out. Then last here is what? When balancing ionic equations, okay, the number of atoms of each element and the net what charge must be the same on both sides of the equation. Remember that in the chemical equation we have what reactant side and the product what side. And when you are writing it, the number of ions on both sides must be what the same thing. So let's take what? Example number one now. Example. Now, example one here is what? A reaction between sodium hydroxide and what? Hydrochloric acid. So give us what? Sodium chloride and water. Now the ionic form of this equation is this. Look at it here. Now this is what the reactant side. Okay, this is the reactant side. Now if you look at sodium here, sodium is what? Na+. That is it. Then we have what? OH what minus. This OH minus is what? A radical. Now it's combining with, you also break what? Hydrogen chloride into what? Its components. Okay. Now we have what? H plus and what? Cl what? Minus. Now coming to the product side there, what is formed there is what? Sodium what? Chloride. So sodium is what? Na+. Whereas what? Your chlorine is what? Cl what? Minus. Now look at here, water here, you are not going to what? Break it down because of the what? The rule number what? 1. That said that what? You don't break down what? Molecules into what? Ions. So this is the what? The ionic form of what? This what? Equation. So example number 2 now on how to write what? Ionic equation. Okay. Example number 2 here is a reaction between what? sodium triosocarbonate 4 and what? Tetraoxosulfate 6 acid. To give us what? Sodium tetraoxosulfate 6, water molecule and what? Carbon 4 oxide gas. Okay, now the ionic form is this. Now this is what? Na. So we have what? Na plus here. It has to be 2 here because we have 2 molecules of what? Sodium here. That's why 2 atoms of what? Sodium here. That's why we have what? 2 Na what plus. Then look at this place here. This is what? CO3. CO3 is written as what? CO3 2 minus, but this is the what? The ionic form of what? A triosocarbonate what? Ions. Now if you come there, so this is hydrogen. We have what? 2H plus. Okay. The ionic form of hydrogen is what? H plus, because hydrogen what? Has a valency of what? Plus 1 or what? Minus 1. Now looking at what? SO4 here. The ionic form of SO4 is what? SO4 2 minus, because this is what? Tetraoxo what? Sulfate 6 what? Ions. So that is the ionic what form. Then coming to the product side here, if you look at here, we have here what? Na2, which is sodium atom there. So if you bring it to the ionic form, it has to be what? 2Na plus. Okay, then we also have what? SO4 what? 2 minus from what? From this particular what? Ions here. Okay, then together with what? Water and what? Carbon 4 oxide what? Gas. Remember, we are not going to write all this one in the ionic form because they are what? Molecules and gases. Just according to our what? Rule number what? 3. Okay, our rule number 3 is that what? The number of what? Ions must be the same thing on both sides. So if you look at here, this is what? 2 plus, this is also what? 2 plus. Okay, if you look at here, 2 minus here, bring in everything here, you're going to see that what? The whole ions are what? The same on both sides. So I'm going to leave you with what? An assignment. Okay. Here are the assignments that you have to work on. Write the ionic equation of the following. Zinc reacting with what? Copper 2 tetraoxosulfate 6 acid to give us what? Zinc sulfate and what? Copper solid. So we have here what? Calcium hydroxide reacting with what? Reacting with triazo nitrate 5 acid to give us what? Calcium triazo what? Nitrate 5 salt and what? Water molecule. Then here we have what? Aluminium what? Chloride reacting with what? Sodium sulfate to give us aluminium sulfate and what? Sodium what? Chloride. So just make sure you go through using what? The video clip. Also use your what? The rules that I have given to you. Then you'll be able to what? Write what? These various ionic form of equations. Thank you.